Hi guys, so here it is. Here's the first video that I said I was going to make. A few questions that I've got on the bottom of the comments that I asked you to write on. And someone asked me, what was the first experience I had trying drugs? Now, although I've got quite a good memory from my past, at the time when I first took weed, I hadn't really got anything to sort of compare it to. Obviously, alcohol and stuff. But, I've not got a long list tucked under my belt or anything. And that's, even to this day, I still think what I'm going to say now. I think when somebody takes drugs, a lot of your experience depends on who you are around and taking drugs with at the time. If you don't feel comfortable with the people, you're not going to have like a brilliant experience, because you're always going to feel like you've got to watch your environment. So I think when to have a good sort of thing on drugs, you've got to be sort of relaxed. And luckily enough, the times that I've shown took drugs, I have been, so they were never really like sent me the wrong way or anything like that. I mean, weed is sort of, it made me sort of feel like I was floating almost, everything that was extra funny that was said, and that, laughing at sort of anything, talking away to my friend Nikki, who I mentioned on the video I did yesterday, and I think that's why, even still to this day, weed is a sociable drug, isn't it? People smoke it every single day, every day of every night and day of the year, and it still remains a very sociable drug, and it's very sociable and acceptable, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't like this sort of when I was young, but now, you see, you walk past people at the bus stop with the kids, don't you? And you can smell weed. It's very openly smoked and very relaxed, isn't it? As opposed to sort of heroin, obviously. But yeah, I didn't know sort of if the question was just about the very first drug I took, or my first time taking drugs. So I'm going to include heroin in it as well, telling about my first time in heroin. I mean, obviously, as I remember, it obviously was, quite an enjoyable experience taking the weed, because it kind of opened me the doors then to a world of heroin, really. When I first took heroin, oh God, I've smoked. My time that I spent on drugs, it's more smoking it on the foil that I've always kind of been into, and more sort of warmed, not warmed to, sort of favourable way to take it, really. And I remember I was smoking it on the foil, and obviously I couldn't run it myself back then, because it was the first time I'd ever done it. So somebody else did it for me, and I can remember chasing the smoke down with the tube, and oh my God, it tasted like fish. It was vile, absolutely vile. I was sick. I couldn't stop itching, because obviously morphine makes you itch. And all I did was, I was like that all the time. Didn't even, that's what most of the time they call it gouging out, don't they? I mean, why on earth I had it again, I don't know. But I'll be honest, from the moment I knew what heroin was, I wanted to try it. That's what I did, But at least I admit that, and I know you all sort of admire me, for my honesty. So there's not much I can say. It wasn't a brilliant experience, was it? Although obviously I must have really enjoyed it to sort of have it again. It does make me wonder why some people have the desire to want to try heroin and some don't. Some will never, ever, 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 even if they're around them sort of people, will never take it. And I'd love to sort of be able to, or know how to sort of, get into the brain and that, how to find that scientific, etiology out. But anyway, so moving on, I then was asked what my first job was. Now, it was when I just left school, so I'm still relatively normal now. I had a little bit of a hiccup saying I told school I wanted to be a prostitute, but I'm still relatively normal, And I started working at a place called Jetlag, which is at Chesterfield. It's sort of like Dronfield Bypass, it's just off. But anyway, it's a, you know, a warehouse. They're predominantly known for packing things for airlines and stuff, but they also do, you know, other sort of packages as well. And on the line that I was, I don't know if any of you remember, in Boots, they have these little gift sets more around Christmasy time, and they've got like little miniature bottles of perfume in. I think the man one's got Dupe, Hugo Boss, some Calvin Klein thing, you know, Cool Water, that sort of thing. You'll know what I mean. And I think I, you know, different day over different perfumes, but you know, I'd put the Hugo Boss in, the next one next to me, put the Dupe in it, and so on. I mean, that was probably the best sort of job I was ever going to get at that time anyway. I mean, due to my lack of qualifications at school. I mean, fucking hell. I came out, I got ungraded in maths, ungraded in German, not brilliant, you know, and I'll tell you all about that on another time. But so, you know, it was kind of a good job for me, and back then the money was good as well. I mean, we were not in an economy like we were now, you know, and it provided me a way in to be able to pay for heroin as well. So was it a good thing or was it a bad thing that I had a job? Who fucking knows? And then obviously I've wandered into prostitution, and I was asked then to tell you about my first client, and the first time I got assaulted by a client. Now, I don't know again if it, I should have asked really, I should have asked you guys, if you meant like the first escort I did, or just the first time somebody paid me for sex. So I'm going to include 2 answers to this. One's going to be my very first ever client who paid me for sex, and the second one's going to be the time after in a different sort of environment. So the first time I was ever paid for sex, it was the very first time I'd ever worked on the red light district, anywhere in fact. And I went down with a lady who you know, who did that as a full time, you know, every night and stuff. And I can remember standing on this corner where this BMW garage was in Sheffield. And although like, it's still around the area, you don't actually stand where I'm saying to you now. You know, I'm going back a long time ago. And I can remember standing there and this car pulled up and she did all the talking. And I'm like, what does he want, you know? And he says, he wants you. I thought, oh, fucking hell, not me on my own word. You know, and you know, we both got in the car. It was a big black man he was. Yeah, it wasn't... It is what it is. I mean, I've always had a desire. I can always sort of cut off. I think that's why I'm still able to do this job years and years down the line, because I can shut it off, you know, not think about it. I mean, you ask me what I do for a job and I'll tell you, but it's like stacking shelves to me. I don't have sex. I sell sex. But it's not, you know, and all working girls will say that, you know, so if you said to somebody, how many people have you had sex with? And the, you know, the person you're asking is a prostitute, she wouldn't count the customers she's had sex with, you know, because it's not, it's a transaction, it's a business transaction, you know. So so the first time I had sex on the street was relatively quick because it is in a car, you know. When I've eventually got off working on the red light district, which I'll cover you and tell you about in the timelines, I then went to a place called Caesars, which is a massage parlour, very busy massage parlour in Sheffield, and obviously I started working there. My first customer there was somebody who wanted me to bend him over with a strap on. You know, I'm 6.5 stone wet through. He's bought this great purple strap on with a bloody like pants that you put on when they were bright fucking green. I'm ramming him up the fucking arse. I'm pulling it out. I know you can imagine what's on it. I'm nearly spewing up. And that was my first customer in there. Never been assaulted by one. I mean, pimps maybe, yeah, boyfriends and stuff. But customers I haven't. I'm very good with my mouth. I walked into that one. I'm very good with my mouth at deterring situations and sort of, you know, turning things around and sort of, yeah. So I haven't actually been, you know, assaulted. I mean, I could tell you I have and tell you some horror story, but I want to keep this channel true and real. So thanks for getting involved in this video, guys. Let's get another one. Get me some more questions on. See you soon.